Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Clintonville Slasher. I am your host, Frankenbooks, and today is my 100th episode. So, at first, I want to say thank you to everybody that has been here for 100 episodes. I started this show with my son Pearson when we first saw the film Batman. That was a really good movie, and I started it at this desk, and that's where my 100th episode is. So, from all the times that all the movie reviews and all the interviews I've done, so this has been a really fun experience for me. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been part of the show, everybody that's watched the show. It really means a lot to me, guys. So thank you. So this is my 100th episode. So big shout out to everybody that's been a part of it. So today we are going to be talking about the John Wick films. I just saw the fourth film. So I've seen all 1 through 4. So we're going to start with 1. This is going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen any of the John Wick films and you want to, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've been warned. So John Wick was released in 2014, from 2014 until present this year. So the first film, Keanu Reeves plays this guy named John Wick. Now the first film opens up with John Wick crashing into a car. He's bleeding. He's watching his phone, and his wife has died. And that kind of keeps your interest, because the first half of this film is, excuse me, it's a little bit dull. You know, John Wick is, seems like a family man. Seems like there's not much to him. His wife dies, which I believe is from cancer, but it's not really specified if it's from cancer or not. Anyway, the last gift that she gives him is a puppy dog, and he goes through his daily routines, gets up in the morning, brushes his teeth, takes care of his dog, and this goes on for a little bit until he is driving his muscle car around and goes to a gas station and runs into these Russian guys who ask how much his car is. Says it's not for sale, and they take his plate, and they end up following him that night and going into his house, beating the crap out of him and killing his dog. So they turn up, stealing his car. John Wick is beat up. His dog is dead. And they take the car to John Leguizamo's chop shop. And he's like, where did you guys get this car? And he's like, we stole it. And he goes, take it out of here. So this Russian kid's father is a big gangster. So the Russian kid that is the leader of this gang that John Wick ran into at the gas station, his dad is the leader of this gang. And he tells him that you messed with the wrong guy. John Wick is a professional hitman who's a man of focus. And so John Wick decides to go after these guys. So he says, this guy's name is Baba Yaga. He's coming after you. So John Wick ends up getting, his suit back and goes down to this hotel called the Continental. Now the Continental is ran by a guy, and I can't remember his name now. Shit. Anyway, it's ran by this guy, and the Continental for these assassins is basically like you can go and no bloodshed can be spilled there. So, John Wick goes there, and the only rule is that the assassins can't attack each other. So there's a hit out for John Wick, and this Russian mobster puts this hit out for him. The fight scenes in this movie are truly amazing. I think the fight scenes are awesome. I think the story held up really well. And I think it's a really good story, especially the end of it. I loved it. Now, part 2 kind of takes place where John Wick runs into this guy who has a marker, and this marker is a little silver disc, and it's inked in his blood. And it's kind of like the thing between the assassins, that if you have this marker and you go back on your word, you get murdered. So John Wick says he doesn't want to do this. In part 2, he says, I don't want to do this. I don't want to work for you. I don't want to honor the marker. So the guy blows up his house. And so John decides he's like, all right, I'll honor the marker. What do you want? And he says, I want you to kill my sister. She has a seat on the high table. Now, this is a film where you learn about the high table, and that the assassins it goes from the high table all the way, trickles all the way down. So John Wick decides to take this job. He unalives the guy's sister so the guy can have the seat on the table, and then the guy sends out all of his assassins to him. Fight scenes in this movie are very cool. I just didn't like the story. I thought the story was boring, and I thought they were I didn't feel the story. I thought that 90% of it was action and 10% of it was story. And at the end of it, John Wick ends up killing the guy that on Continental grounds. They kick him out. They say, you got an hour to live. You got an hour to run. So the third film picks up with every assassin trying to kill John Wick. For the next, almost 2 hours, all these assassins try to kill John Wick while John Wick has to go up to the high table and offer himself as have an offering, and so he can keep his life. Now, the story is actually really good because Lawrence Fishburne's in this. It's really cool. The fight scenes are really, really great, except for the end fight scenes. This is 90% of the fight scenes for this one are just, throwing each other through glass. John Wick gets hit by cars. He gets shot at. It gets old. By the third one, it's okay, you throw John Wick through glass for 45 minutes. It gets old. It's stupid. So John Wick ends up getting to the seat of the high table, cutting off his ring finger, says he's going to be service to the high table. They tell him to kill the leader of the Continental, the hotel manager of the Continental, and Winston is his name. Sorry, so I remember it now. So they tell him to kill Winston. He won't kill Winston because Winston is his friend, and so he goes against the high table. Now, that brings us to John Wick 4, where the entire high table has sent out one of their members to use anything at his disposal to kill John Wick, and this guy is played by Bill Skarsgård. Now, Bill Skarsgård in John Wick 4 gives one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. I thought the fourth film was very cool. It had a lot of action in it. It had a lot of good story. The fight scene at the Continental in Saigon or wherever they were. No, they were in a Continental in China, and they go there, or Singapore. Sorry. So they go there and they desensitize, disintegrate it, and they deconsecrate it. So they tell that this Continental has been deconsecrated. You can now shed blood. And the first fight scene in the Continental in China is brutal. The sword fights are amazing. The kill scenes are awesome. That's like a 30-minute. That's a good half an hour of them fighting. The fourth one's almost about 3 hours long. But that Continental fight is so good. And John Wick gets a pair of nunchucks. The nunchuck fight is probably 15 minutes of just him nunchucking people, which is really great. But there's a lot of story here, and Bill, like I said, Bill Skarsgård's Clancy Brown is in this, and they give Oscar-winning performances, and it ends on a high note. John Wick challenges Bill Skarsgård to a duel to get his life back, and he ends up winning the duel, killing Bill Skarsgård, and then John Wick dies. Ending the fourth film, you find out that the entire time, the leader of the Continental in New York was actually John Wick's dad the whole time. So I really thought that this movie ended on a really good high note. I don't think that they should make a fifth one because all they did was run John Wick over a car. How many assassins are you going to send after John Wick before it gets old? I think they ended on a high note. I thought the fourth film had a really good fight sequences in every aspect where it came to fighting. The action was really good and the story held up really, really well, and the ending was good. So it was a good, solid ending. So I hope they don't make a John Wick 5. I hope they just leave it the way it is. It was perfect the way it ended. And I couldn't be more satisfied with the way it ended. I thought it was a really good way to end it. And Bill Skarsgård in this movie is amazing. He plays a Frenchman, kills the role. Clancy Brown is awesome. He plays, he's like the Bill Skarsgård's right hand man. It's really cool. So, if you guys have not checked it out, I would highly suggest it. So if you are new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check out the 4 John Wick films. They're not terrible. They just get to the point where you're just beating a dead horse. So, like I said, 100 episodes. I don't really know what else to say about 100 episodes. I never thought in a million years that I would be doing this for 100 episodes, let alone, the support and love I've gotten for it. So I really want to thank everybody that's in the horror community and all the interviews I've done, all the bands I've talked to, all the people I've talked to, the friends I've made. I will truly, truly blessed to have you all in my life. So thank you so much. Yeah, I love you guys. Stay horror, stay excellent. Here's to 100 more later days.